Hello everybody, good morning, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news, as Manchester United are linked to a move for Spurs manager Ange Postecoglou. It's an improvement on Gareth Southgate. We'll talk about what that's all about. We've got an active poll in the live chat. If you're watching live, you can get your vote in there as well. Also, Lisandro Martinez flies back from Argentina. Remember, he was meant to be spending 2 weeks with his team, Argentina. Out there, he's flying back. We'll talk about why and what that means for Manchester United as well. We've also got some transfer news around centre-backs leaving and coming in, and a lot more for you to digest as well. But let's fly straight into it then. Ange Swoop, INEOS Ange interest. What is all this about? Well, as I said, look, I don't want Ten Hag to go. I find it offensive, actually. Look, this is a news show on the morning, as you know, and we react to the news. I find it offensive, but the point is we are constantly being linked to new managers at Manchester United. It's really weird. It's like being in a happy marriage and then being told that someone else wants to have an affair with you. I'm just like, I'm not interested. I don't want this to be going on. And it's a weird thing in the media that I would describe personally as just a witch hunt against Erik Ten Hag. I've been saying it all season. His treatment compared to Pochettino and Eddie Howe is a bloody joke. Well, what a surprise. Eddie Howe's British, and Ange, I think a lot of the press think he's British because he managed Southampton and Spurs before. But Ten Hag, I think, is always seen as an outsider and is therefore treated appallingly by this press. But, look, let me read you this. It's coming in from Rob Dawson, regularly sits on Man United press conferences, works for ESPN, has been on this channel, actually. He says, despite doubts about his future, Ten Hag remains convinced that a final decision has not yet been made and that he's still got time to earn the full backing of Radcliffe and Brailsford. Ten Hag has been fully involved in planning for the summer transfer window, but according to sources, Brailsford has also been monitoring other candidates for the job in the event that a change of manager is required. And I have got no problem with that, by the way. I'm not going to sit here and go, what? What's he doing? What an arsehole. He's stabbing him in the back. Mercenary. No, I think that is something that any football club should be doing at any point. I mean, look at what's happened with Jurgen Klopp. If Liverpool was stuck with their dick in their hands, not doing anything, they're in big trouble. I think you should always have an idea of where you'd go if your manager quits or needs to be sacked. Because in football, you can be riding a wave and the next thing you can be under that wave. And what I mean by that is you could be doing quite well in third place, lose your next 6, you're down to 6th place and people are calling for the job. So very quickly things can turn around. So I think you've always got to have a contingency plan. I've got no problem with that. However, I do have a problem with some of these names. So on the list, according to Rob Dawson, Gareth Southgate, Graham Potter, De Zerbi, Thomas Frank, Thomas Tuchel, Lopetegui, Zidane, Amorim and Nagelsmann have all been discussed internally as potential replacements. However, sources have told ESPN that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is determined to be as ambitious as possible with his appointments to key positions, and official approaches for candidates like Ange Postecoglou, who has been at Tottenham for less than a year, have not been ruled out. So, you know what? And it goes on to say, targeting Postecoglou or any other manager currently securing a job would follow an aggressive recruitment policy since Sir Jim's investment in Manchester United, which has seen them appoint Omar Barada from Man City and also approach Newcastle for Dan Ashworth. But having said that, sources have also told ESPN that Sir Jim and Sir David Brailsford feel that United recent managers have been let down by an off-field structure which has not been fit for purpose, and if Ten Hag does enough to warrant another year in charge, he would benefit from working under a CEO and a director of football. So interesting update there. First thing I'm going to say is, look, a lot of these managers that we're being linked at are crap. Southgate, Potter, De Zerbi, Frank, Tuchel, Lopetegui. I mean, there's a lot of, there's no name out of them that I think, oh, let's sack Ten Hag for. I mean, De Zerbi, I just think there's a massive question mark over him and he's going to cost you money to get out of Brighton. Thomas Frank, no. Potter, no. Southgate, no. Lopetegui, no. It's a risk. He's a good coach, but it's a risk. It's a massive risk. Thomas Tuchel, God, no. No. Zidane won't come. Amorim and Nagelsmann are interesting, but only as interesting as Ten Hag was when he was at Ajax, so really it's a no. So actually, I do agree, and I actually said this last night, if, for whatever reason, Erik ten Hag was to get sacked, actually, I think we should go for a manager that is in a job. I do. I said it last night. If you watched the show last night, I might have had a couple of glasses of red wine, but I did say it last night. If you're going to change the manager, go for somebody who's in a job doing well. Don't go for what's available. And I think that's, if you're going to buy a new car and everyone on your drive has got a new car that you like, and you go to the car dealership and all those cars have been bought and all the colours you don't want are available, or all the models you don't want are available, are you going to buy that? No. I want what's on his drive. I want what's on her drive. And I think that's the way I look at this. There is this obsession from the media and certain fans to sack Ten Hag, but they're fishing in a small pond. Go fishing in the sea. That's what I say. If we're going to change the manager, why are we taking it from what's available? Screw that. Go and get the best in class. So, look, I don't want to sack the manager. I think it's ridiculous. I think, on pure opinion, you know my opinion. We need to clear out in the summer. The best way to clear out is to keep a manager that knows what needs clearing out, not bring a new manager in who wants to be everyone's friend again. Also, his win ratio is better than any other Man United manager. You can't move away from that. Also, we've had ridiculous injuries that have forced him to play a different brand of football. Also, it's right. He has been severely let down by a lack of recruitment above. Harry Maguire is a player that he tried to sell. Johnny Evans is a player he didn't want. Both those players have played well for him this season, but they're not the sort of centre-backs he wants. And there are other examples of that. No other striker brought in, so he's got one. We need structure. And I think Ten Hag should stay. But what I'm saying is, if at some point in the next 18 months, Ten Hag is sacked, and I'm not talking about this summer, I'm saying if next season goes bad, I don't want us to go for what's available. I want us to go for best in class. And we're Manchester United. Why can't we knock on the door of Spurs or Aston Villa or Sporting Lisbon or whatever and say, we want your manager? Don't do it on the cheap. Don't do it on the cheap. Look, Patrick says, with the level of manager candidates mentioned in possibly replacing Ten Hag, I wonder what INEOS goals are. Is it competing for the Premier League or just top four, says Patrick? Or is it about money? Are we going for people who are available because they're cheap? Jay, welcome to the Members Club. You're a legend. And Rory says it's all a ploy by INEOS to get the Erik ten Hag folk out back on board. Look at the alternatives that are being linked, says Rory. Good point, maybe. Brian H says, even Ange, Pep, Klopp wouldn't do better if the players don't change first. Be wary of INEOS. They care more about their way than success, says Brian. Well, I think we have to be wary of anybody in power at Man United, and I think fans need to wake up for that. I want INEOS to do well. You want INEOS to do well. But I find it weird how a lot of passion and opinion in the fan base has just been put in the cupboard by a lot of people as they go, well, I'm just going to trust them and see what happens. I mean, that's just not a way to support a football club. You've got to be wary. There's big money involved. The Glazers are still there. We don't know what the motives are. We don't know what the long-term plan is. We've been told by the Glazers in the next 3 years we're going to win the league numerous times, so we have to be accountable. Dan Harding says, Ange is a wish Bielsa. We'll get found out next season. I don't know why people can't see that. I want to talk about Ange specifically in a minute, Dan. Mario says, cheers from Texas. Ten Hag in, says Mario. And hi, Mark. I got the feeling you don't like Southgate. I'm not even going to talk about Southgate today. He's an irrelevance to me. Actually, I'm going to talk about Southgate because I'm doing a watch-along for England-Brazil tonight at That's Football at 7 o'clock. Make sure you join me. But we have set up a poll. Before I give you my strong opinions on Ange, we have set a poll. Would you take Ange Postecoglou over Ten Hag? 78% of you say no. I'm surprised it's that big. That's what she said. No, I am surprised it's that big because I thought that Ange is such a hipster coach. The press love him. I thought that there might be a little bit more that would go for Ange. I still thought people would want to keep Ten Hag, but I thought there might be more. Look, would I want Ange Postecoglou as Manchester United manager? I'll answer that in a moment. Would Ange Postecoglou want the Manchester United job? Yes. Sorry, Spurs fans. Yes. He will sit there in a press conference and say, no, of course he'd want the Man United job. I'm sorry, of course he would. If I pull up to your house in a gold-plated Porsche and you've got an Audi on your drive and I say, do you want to swap cars? And you go, I'm really happy with my Audi. And then I go, wait a minute, watch what I'm about to pull up on your drive. And then I pull it up. They're going to go, there's the keys to that Audi. Man United are still a gold-plated Porsche. And Spurs are an Audi. Spurs are in a better position at the moment, but that's never stopped anybody. I've seen players go from Brighton to Chelsea. What's that all about? Doesn't make any sense. It's status. I've seen managers go from a good position to an underperforming club because it's a bigger club. So I think Man United could get Ange Postecoglou. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Do I think they want him? I don't think they want to spend the money on it, to be honest with you. Robin van Persie went from Arsenal to Manchester United to win a title. Like, these things do happen. Maybe some of you aren't old enough to remember, but they do. So I think Ange Postecoglou could be got from Spurs if Man United were aggressive enough. Of course I think they could. I think there's other managers out there that we could go and get. I think Emery at Villa would be very interesting. And again, it could happen if United wanted to do it. But what I will say to Spurs fans is, Spurs are in a very good position at the moment. Daniel Levy is there. Getting Postecoglou out of Spurs would be virtually impossible. And it would cost a lot of money. So we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. And I don't think United would try and do it, to be honest. Now, would I take Postecoglou at Manchester United? No. No, I wouldn't. Because tell me what the difference is between Postecoglou and what he did before Spurs and what he's done in season 1 compared to what Ten Hag did at Ajax and what he did in season 1 at United. There's no difference. There's no difference at all. I don't see a difference. I think Ten Hag's career before Man United is better than Ange's career before Spurs. And I think that Ten Hag's first season at Man United is as good as Ange's at Spurs. In fact, it's probably going to be better because Spurs aren't going to win a trophy and they won't finish third. So I don't actually see why I would go from Ten Hag to Postecoglou. I don't. And also, I have a massive concern that next season, Spurs will not be where they are this season. I.e., I don't think that they're going to take a step forward. I think they will either hold the ground around 4th and 5th, or they might even drop to 6th or 7th. So I think there's a big risk there. I also think Postecoglou is one-dimensional. I think his style of football is one-dimensional. I watched them play against Fulham last weekend, and Fulham absolutely annihilated them getting down the flanks. So I don't see in Ange the solution for Manchester United. I don't. I think he's a very good coach, and I'm intrigued to see what he's going to do at Spurs next season specifically. But I don't go, ooh, I'd love him. I'd love to sack Ten Hag and get him. I don't really see many managers like that. As I've said before, if Ancelotti suddenly had an aspiration to manage Manchester United, let's talk. If Jurgen Klopp suddenly ripped his Liverpool shirt off and went, I've always been a Man United fan, let's have a conversation. But that's not going to happen. I don't see a manager that I go, that's a massive upgrade on Ten Hag. And I do not see that with Postecoglou. So, no, I'd agree with you 78%. For me, no, don't want him. I don't. Maybe in a year's time, if he has a really good progressive season next year and Ten Hag stumbles again, come back to this conversation and I'd go, you know what, he's proved himself over 2 years. Spurs are better than last year. United and Ten Hag's not going to work. Yeah, maybe in a year I look at it, but not now. It's not one for me. I don't see the upgrade, to be honest with you. Dale says, thanks for the hard work, everyone at United Stand. Paul Mark, with or without glasses, says Dale. Well, I can do it without glasses, but one, it's very bright for me because I've had them on for half an hour. And 2, I can't read the chat. So if you want it to be interactive, I need my glasses on. Is there any chance to get Pep? Would you, says Gaggy? I wouldn't want. But you know what? Pep Guardiola. This is going to get clipped to shit, right? But if I could swap Pep Guardiola for Erik Ten Hag right now, the answer is no. And people are going to go mad about that. But there's a strong reason for it. One, his identity is so ingrained with Man City. His identity is so ingrained with the style of football I find sleepy. It's opera, it's not rock and roll. I also think that I respect Pep. He's a fantastic coach. But I don't massively like him as a coach. I find him arrogant. I think that there is a thin layer to where the real Pep comes out. I think he enjoys being at clubs where he's got all the tools to be successful and he can pontificate over the league that he's in. But as soon as he's under any pressure, the real Pep comes out. So he puts himself in positions where he's not under pressure. Fantastic coach, amazing obsession and intricacy. But I wouldn't want him at Man United. I just don't warm to him as a coach. I wouldn't want him at Manchester United. And maybe that's just because of what he's done at Man City for so long. And he's infected by that Man City thing. But no, I wouldn't want him. I don't get it. So INEOS will pay Ten Hag 10 million to sack him, pay a new manager 10 million to bring them in, but won't spend the 15 million to get Ash with now, says Brian. Interesting. Swap deal of Eric Ten Hag plus Rashford plus 50 million to PSG for Mbappe. Who's going to manage us, Colin? Mbappe. Great comments coming in, by the way. I'm going to close this poll. 78% of you would not take Ange over Ten Hag, which is interesting there. Some of the super chats are crazy this morning, says Joseph. And Melps, I understand where you come from. I just feel the biggest reason is within the club, not in the manager, says Doobie Guy. So Ten Hag plays better football than Pep, says the Ferocious. Don't think that was the question being asked. I was asked, would I take Pep Guardiola at Manchester United? And no, I wouldn't. I'd have Diego Simeone ahead of Southgate or Ange, says Jonathan. Well, look, I don't like the manager talk. I want to talk about transfers, and that's what we're going to move on to now. But if we were ever changing a manager, whether it's tomorrow, the summer, next summer, or in 2 years' time, I would like to think United have the power to go and get the best in class. And I think that's what we should be looking to do. And I don't think we should be dipping our rod in a small pond of what's available. I think we should be throwing it into the ocean and seeing what we can catch, because we might catch a big fish. And I think that's what we should do. Rasmus says, I agree with you, Mark. Pep is a great coach, but there's something off about him. He's unlikable as a person, says Rasmus. Look, I've never met Pep. I don't know anything about him. I know a few people who've interviewed him and they don't really like him, but I can't tell you the names of the people because they're still working in the industry. So, but look, I judge people on, I've been a victim of this a lot. People judge you from what they see on their phones or their screens. They meet you in real life and they get the real person there. So, maybe Pep Guardiola is an amazing guy. I just don't feel like... I think that Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool and Sir Alex Ferguson at Man United always put the club above them. Liverpool over Klopp. Sir Alex was under Manchester United. I think with Pep at Man City, it feels like it's Pep over Man City. Having said that, it's always going to be Pep over Man City because Man City are a little bit plastic as a football club, as we know. They're not a huge football club. Whereas Pep at Barcelona probably was Barcelona over Pep. So maybe at United it could work, to be fair. Maybe it's just he's at City and he's bigger than City. So it just seems, it's a bit off-putting. I don't know. Let's move on. Let's talk. Well, you can come back to that, but let's move on. Let's talk about the situation. There's a couple of things I want to talk to you about. I was trying to get the hotometer back up on the screen today, but we've lost it. So I will get it back on the next show because I wanted to basically say, in fact, I'm going to do it while I'm talking to you now. So look, the reason I want to do it is because, and I want to talk to you about Martinez now, but remember when we did the list on Wednesday, new show, weekly show, probably get more frequent than the summer, talking about our hotometer and who are the hottest targets for United at the moment and what's bollocks really. Bremer keeps coming up for Manchester United as an option for the summer transfer window, and it's gathering some momentum. Again this morning, people talking about it. We're not in for Bremer. He is not a player that we're looking at. I don't know why it's around, but it's not out there. And, we've got Fabrizio on the show on Monday. He knows all about Italian football. We'll get the definitive from him. But everything I've been told, and the reason he didn't feature on the hotometer on Wednesday, despite numerous stories about him, is because we're not advanced as some stories are trying to say. There's all this talk about Ashworth likes him and United have authorised the deal and this, that and the other. I suspect that he is basically a player that falls into that numerous threads we always talk about when United get linked to a player. 1, it's genuine. 2, the club are trying to sell him. 3, the player wants a new contract. 4, the player wants to sell. 5, the agent is using United to generate interest. And I think it's probably that. I think they're trying to generate interest off the back of Manchester United because they know we need a centre-back. So, and I've got no problem with the player, Juventus, or his agent using Man United, you know, getting in contact with a couple of people and saying, put this out there, United are interested in Bremer because they want to get out of Juventus and move somewhere else. It's a classic tactic from an agent to do that. But I don't believe we're in for Bremer, and I think there's way more targets ahead of him that United will look at. But remember this, if you saw the list on Wednesday, the hotometer was there on screen, and 6 out of 10, 60% chance, which is very hot at this stage of March, Frimpong. Just remember that, because nobody's massively talking about it. We had Elise at 7, Todibo 7, Branthwaite 6, and Frimpong 6. So those are our top predicted transfers for Manchester United at this moment in time, from what we're hearing and from what's out there as well. So Frimpong, Branthwaite, Todibo, Elise, they're the 4 at the moment. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But I want to talk to you about centre-back Lisandro Martinez. Breaking news last night. We know that Bruno Fernandes has left. Has been sent home from the Portuguese squad. I think Bernardo Silva as well. Maybe a couple of others. I think Diaz and somebody else. This is great news. Absolutely great news. Bruno Fernandes needs a bloody break. And I think that Roberto Martinez and Portugal are doing it for their own good. Of course they are. It benefits us as Manchester United, but it massively benefits them. Bruno Fernandes has played more football than any footballer in Europe over the last 18 months. He got sent home yesterday. So Friday, he doesn't link up with Man United until Thursday. So he's got 5 or 6 days wherever he wants of total and utter relaxation instead of playing a second international game. So it's massively, massively positive for Manchester United. And that's a fact. That's happened. So Bruno is now resting and recuperating somewhere. He's not coming back to Carrington to do any training. He'll link up next Thursday. So of course he'll be doing a bit of light gym work. He'll be eating the right foods, but mainly it's going to be rest and relaxation. Mentally as well is important as physically. So really, really good. Wasn't expecting that. I know Beth spoke about it on the afternoon show yesterday, but that's a real, real positive. Now on Martinez, he's leaving the Argentina squad as well. I'm going to sneeze. Why? I only ever sneeze. I never sneeze throughout the day, but always it's about 20 minutes into the morning show, there is that sneeze. Jerome says our players need rest. They do. So Martinez went out to Argentina to link up with the Argentinian squad. Some of you weren't happy about it. I wasn't particularly bothered. He's really close for the Brentford game a week today. And the reason he'd gone out to Argentina was twofold. One, he's training. And he wants to train with Argentina because they've got the Copa America in the summer and it's about team building. But also, he's training anyway. So, all right, there's a flight, but he's training. So, would you rather he's training with the Argentinian squad or back at Carrington training with whatever's left there? So, it's a better quality of training with the national team. But he's flying back. He's not staying until whenever Argentina's second game is. So, he's not going to be flying back. I mean, sometimes these South American games can take place, you know, early hours of Thursday morning. Then you fly back, you get back Friday, and then you're playing on the Saturday. So Martinez is actually flying back this weekend. He'll be in Manchester Monday, and he'll be training in Carrington probably Monday or Tuesday, which gives him a whole 4 days ahead of the Brentford game. So this is about maximising his opportunity to play against Brentford. Now, there's no pressure on Martinez to be back for the Brentford game. Remember, Man United play Brentford next Saturday night. We play Chelsea on the Thursday, and then we play Liverpool on the Sunday. So we've got 3 games in 7 days. That's probably not ideal for Martinez to come back to because he's been out for a while, and do you want him to play 3 games in 7 days? So it'll be interesting what we do with him. But I hadn't thought about it myself. With him going to the Argentinian squad, I'd never thought about when's Argentina's last game and when would he fly back, because that would be a problem, you know, flying back on the Thursday. They're playing Costa Rica at 3 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. So, I mean, that game finishes at about breakfast time on Wednesday. You know, bit of post-match stuff, get on a plane. Yeah, he'd be landing back sort of Thursday morning, wouldn't he? In Manchester after a long haul flight, and then you're asking him to play on Saturday. Whereas this way, he's going to be back 3 days before that. So, yeah, and then he has a week in front of Ten Hag next week. I think he's just given himself the best chance of being available for the Brentford game, and I don't know whether we need it. You know what? I was thinking about this. Do you think we need Martinez for the Brentford game? We might be all right with Varane and Maguire, because I think Martinez, and give Martinez sort of half an hour in the second half, because the way Brentford play, they're very counter-attacking. So do we want to go to Brentford and play on the front foot? We probably can do that even with Maguire anyway, so or Evans or Lindelof. So we don't need Martinez back for the Brentford game. It'd be nice for him to be back for the Brentford game, because Saturday night to Thursday night, again, Saturday night Brentford, Thursday night Chelsea's quite a big thing. But I guess we'll see how it goes. Erik Ten Hag is a good manager, but the players are not good enough for the manager, says Erica. And Shane Collins says, have you considered Man City can hold the Premiership to ransom? For example, if they get punished for FFP, they could leave and join the Super League. Well, if Man City hold the Premier League to ransom and then say we're going to go into a Super League, I would say to the Premier League, let them go. Like, I think the whole of the Premier League would be at the airport at Manchester waving them off, saying, do one, get out. I don't think there's a Liverpool fan, United fan, Arsenal fan, Chelsea fan, Everton fan that are going to be going, oh, Man City, please stay in the Premier League. We need you to stay. And look, the scenario is they get charged with their 115 charges, and then the Man City say, if you punish us, we're going to leave and go in the Super League. I don't think there's a football fan out there that's going to go, so you've cheated for the last 15 years. Please don't go. We love you so. Please don't go. Pep, please don't go. I'll be like, piss off. Go and play your fantasy crappy league with Perez and Barcelona. Get out and don't come back. So, I mean, look, if it was Man United or Liverpool, I think you could maybe do something. But Man City don't have any bloody history or status to be holding the Premier League to ransom. No one gives a bloody shit. No one would give a shit if Man City got relegated. I mean, look, if Liverpool got relegated to the National League, even I, as a United fan, would be really sad about that. Celtic fans laughed when it happened to Rangers, but then realised, actually, it's not very good because they want that rivalry. I couldn't give a shit if Man City got relegated to the National League. Wouldn't bother me at all. I remember them being in League One. Didn't care. Didn't miss them at all. It was nice to have a Manchester derby, but they were crap. So I wasn't bothered. It would bother me more if Liverpool got booted out, because that's the game I look forward to the most. You know, there's a credibility to that rivalry, but I don't. I mean, the Premier League would be bloody stupid to get held to ransom by them, to be honest. So done that one. Let's have a look at what's going on in the chat. We've got at least 5 players in the academy that will be first team players within a year. Williams, Lacey, Wheatley, Musa as well. Is that, you've only got 4 there, mate? But look, no, you're talking out your arse. We haven't got 5 players that are going to be in the first team in a year's time. That's not going to happen. We'll never have a class of 92 again. It was a one-off. Well, we won't have it, I don't think, in the next 20 years. You know, if you think about the Busby Babes in the late 50s, you had the class of 92 in the mid-90s. You're talking every 40 years, really. So it's not going to happen. But I definitely think David says, bruv, we've dominated the Premier League for over 10 years. That's history, bruv. Bruv, Why aren't you on a Man City fan channel? Oh, I forgot. They're all shit. No one watches them. A Man City fan channel is not sustainable as an entity because there isn't enough content and interest. Oh, sorry about that, bruv. It's not looking good, bruv. I know there are some Man City channels out, but they're all really, you know, self-contained because they just can't get the views. Anyway, going back to what we talked about, there's some fantastic young players coming through at Manchester United, and I've got absolutely no doubt we'll probably average one a year coming through. Had Garnacho, we've had Mainu. I think there'll be another one next year. But I don't think we're going to get a clutch of 4 or 5 coming through. I'd love it, but even 2 would be great. There's so many good players, though. And I think it's really important that Erik ten Hag stays in. Because he's been really good in that area of developing players, as we've seen. The City stand, yeah. God, what would you talk about? Oh, it'd be so boring. It'd be so boring. What would you talk about on the City stand? Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Man City stand. We're probably going to win the league again. We don't know whether we've cheated, but if we did cheat, then everything we've done is based on cheating. We bought everybody because we cheated. We've got the manager because we cheated. We've got the best of everything because we cheated. Yeah, breaking news. We're the best, but we might have cheated. Yeah, what else can we talk about? Ooh, well, we could buy this £100 million player this summer. We could buy this. We can basically buy what we want because we've got so much money. We should win the league because we're better than everybody else because we've got so much money. We've got an amazing stadium. We don't need to build any more because we can't fill it anyway. Yeah, we might win the treble again. Not really got any integrity to it, but, you know, we could do. Nothing bad to talk about because we've got such a massive squad, because we've got so much money. Yeah. We'll be back in a month with another show. We really can't sustain this more than once a month because it's boring. Up the Blues. Blue Moon. Bye. I just don't know what you do. What do you talk about? What do you talk about? They've got, you know, they can't even do shows from the past. Oh, we've got Sean Goater and Paul Dickoff on to talk about being crap before oil. Actually, be more interesting than now. Okay, we've got a serious message here. James Wood says, my best friend passed away suddenly yesterday. She didn't know anything about football, but loved your videos. James, really sad to hear that. Obviously, don't have the name of your friend, but obviously, thoughts with you and her family. And look, it's amazing that people watch this show and don't like football. But obviously, thoughts with you and your friend's family and friends. Damien says, did you see Ten Hag's cup stats? They're amazing. No, Damien, but I'm always up for another stat. Definitely. Definitely always up for that. Despicable says, I miss Leeds more than I'd ever miss City. It says Despicable. EAFC career mode's coming back, says Hope. Yes, it is coming back. I just need to sort out some time. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes at the moment. So I've got a lot of things coming up with the summer, and there's a big announcement coming up soon in relation to something I'm doing. So, yeah, I want to get back doing it. I enjoy doing it, but, yeah. Lee Dixon says, Mark only watches the first team. It needs to open your eyes. I don't need to do anything, Lee. I don't need to do anything. And don't be like Lee. Don't let somebody tell you what to do. I'm fully aware of a lot of our youth players. And I do catch all the goals and all the highlights. But gone are the days where I've got time to watch the youth team. For one, there's probably 2 youth teams you need to see. I just don't have the time to do it, Lee. So I'm honest about it. I'm not one of these people who watch a YouTube clip it up and put it on TikTok and pretend they know what's going on in the Belgian league. I tell you the truth. I used to watch a lot of Serie A. After COVID, just watch the highlights now. Premier League is about all I have time for. So, and I watch the Champions League, of course. LeBron James says City stand hosted by Matt Silverladder, featuring Betsy, Fonz, Kramer, and Robbie. Says LeBron. I love it. Pratt of the Day award is needed, says Colin. Mate, we'd run out of that very quickly. I wouldn't know whether to give it to someone in the first 5 minutes or 10 minutes later. Red Fanatic says there won't be 3 players coming through next season. Mark says, once we start winning big, the United stand will have so many things to talk about. We experienced a lot more than modern City, says Mark. Mate, you know, somebody in the chat said there, would it not be the same for United stand if United started being successful? And I think, look, I lived the 99 season. If we had the United stand then, it would have been unbelievable. Look, the biggest watch stream we've ever had was winning the Europa League when we beat Ajax with Mourinho. Like, success doesn't have to be boring when it's at a club with integrity. You know, Liverpool's success wasn't boring under Klopp and isn't boring. Arteta's success under Arsenal isn't boring. There's just something about Man City. And look, I'm not having a pop at Man City fans. Like, I know a few Man City fans. They're top people. And I've had the chat with them privately about... I've even sat with a Man City fan who said to me, the success is great and it's great to see it, but it felt better before the oil because it was more real. You know, and that's from a Man City fan. So look, I'm not winding Man City fans up. I'm talking the truth. There is something about their success that nobody attaches themselves to. You've got kids buying Man City shirts because that's what kids do. They see Erling Haaland scoring on Match of the Day and they want his shirt. I mean, that's just marketing. I mean, a light blue shirt for a start is fucking horrible. You know, you shouldn't be putting your kids in a light blue shirt. It's horrible. It's a horrible shirt to wear. Light blue. Ugh. But I get that. But when you look at the mainstream, when you look at social media, nobody's interested in Man City. They're not. But there is, look, like I say, if United went and won a treble, our views would go through the roof. I'm 100% sure of it, because the success would be appreciated and loved by so many people. So it's a weird thing with Man City, because you can buy success, but you can't buy respect, I suppose. They don't have respect. People don't buy. I'll tell you what it is with Man City. People don't buy into the story. They don't buy into the story. If United, look at Arsenal. People buy into that story. Arsenal with Arteta out, print the t-shirt. Oh, title race for Arsenal. He's done a great job. Oh, he's back there again. Oh, I tell you what, Arsenal is such an interesting story with what Arteta's done. Jurgen Klopp rebuilds Liverpool. Such an interesting story what they've done. Yes, money's been spent, but money's not the reason. Everybody needs money to be successful, but the story of rebuilding Liverpool is because of Jurgen Klopp. The story of rebuilding Arsenal is because of Arteta and the structure around them. The story of rebuilding Man City is because of Abu Dhabi. Pep Guardiola didn't take Man City from obscurity to titles. They'd already won titles with the likes of Mancini and Pellegrini. All Pep did was add a few cherries on the icing on the cake. He's a great manager and he made them great. But they'd already proven that the Abu Dhabi money could win the title because Mancini had done it and Pellegrini had done it. And Mancini and Pellegrini are decent coaches, but they're not Pep Guardiola. That was just a case. It's what Chelsea did. Chelsea did it a few times as well. You know, Sarri won Conte won the Premier League. They're decent managers, but ultimately it's Abramovich's money that did it. So, yes, Man United, Liverpool and Arsenal will win the league because of money, but there's different strands to it. Money isn't enough. Look at Chelsea with Todd Boehly. Whereas with Man City, it's solely the money that has taken them to where they are, and everybody knows it. Which is a little bit unfair because Berardi's coming in from Man City. He's very good at his job. There's some very good people at Man City, but their PR at Man City is just money. Money bought all of this, and they've never been able to shift that. They can't. They've tried. They bring in people like Grealish because he walks around with a can of beer, but it still doesn't work. They try to make Man City not about the money, but they've never been able to shed that PR. Anyway, this is the United stand, not the City stand. It's about the structure, Mark, says Chris. It is. A lot of people are clicking the link for this. If you want to get one, we do ship them worldwide. Check out United on Shopify. Who do you think will be Man United's first signing, Mark? What a question. What a question. Who do you think will be Manchester United's first signing? Now, ridiculously hard to predict because it might not be the player that I guarantee you we buy. Mason Mount was our first signing last summer. I would never have predicted that. I think Eric Bailly was our first signing under Mourinho. I never would have predicted that. So it's hard to predict who the first signing will be. And a lot of it depends on who's going to the Euros and who's not. I've got a feeling it might be Elise. Drip Football, I literally looked up. I think it will. Joseph McNally as well. I think it will be Elise because, and I might be completely wrong, but my theory is it will be Elise because 1, he's not going to the Euros. 2, he's got a release clause. And 3, we've done a lot of work on it. I think I said it 2 weeks ago. It's basically a done deal if United want to do it. Like, he wants to come to United. United have done all the work with the agent and the player. Crystal Palace don't have a say. So that deal, and there will be a bit of competition for him as well. So if you're doing the Elise deal, you do it quick. There's nothing to stop it happening quick. So I would say Elise will be our first signing based on what I know at the moment. But if we're not going to do it, then it won't happen quick. But if we are going to do it, you'd do it. Louis says, who do you think will be the first player sold? There was an interesting thing from Ben Jacobs yesterday. I saw it on Twitter somewhere that one of the Saudi clubs are already advanced for Varane. I don't think Varane will mess about if he's been told to go. But remember, Varane doesn't want to go to Saudi. But if Man United are refusing to give him a contract, then I think that one could happen quite quickly. I hope Varane doesn't go. It makes absolutely no sense. He's been so important to us. And I always like to praise players who stand up and be counted when we need them. And over the last few weeks, we've had so many injuries all over the pitch. You know, it's been a mismatch of a team, and yet Varane's been there game in, game out. So I think that Varane hopefully will stay. So if it's not Varane, who do I think will... Well, Varane's a free transfer as well, so I'm not going to use Varane. Who do I think will be the first player to go for money? I think Greenwood will happen quite quick. Yeah. I think Greenwood will happen quite quick because it's in everybody's interest to get that done quick. It's a terrible PR nightmare for INEOS to allow that to carry on. Have him coming back to Carrington training at the start of July. So I think that one would happen quite quickly, yeah. Regarding FFP, do youth and women's team sales come into the main club's finances, says Acid? No. If you sell a youth player for 10 million, it helps the men's team, but the women's team's completely separate. Give us a footballing predictions masterclass, says Danny. Well, you can see by the vacant look on my face, you're not going to get a footballing prediction masterclass. I don't even know what you mean. A footballing prediction masterclass. What? Well, I think England will win the Euros, even though Southgate's crap. I think we've got too many good players. I think Southgate managing England is like when I used to play lunchtime football at 2 till comprehensive. Shout out 2 till. And most lunchtime, there'd be about 14 of us, and we'd play 7 aside on the hockey pitch up on the top. And we'd always do it fairly, 2 captains. But sometimes, for a laugh, we'd just pick the 7 best players. And, we'd say to the other 7, if you don't want to play, you can go. And they'd stay and they'd play. And we'd win. We'd win. You could have put Southgate in charge of us and we'd win. Because we were the 7 best players against the 7 weakest players. And some people don't understand that about football, but this is what England have got. Every country we play, our bench could probably beat them. Apart from France and maybe Portugal. But even France and Portugal, when you look at their team and the players they pick, we've still got better players than France. They've got the best player in the world in Mbappe, but we've got better players than France. Foden's better than Griezmann. Kane's better than Giroud. Stones is better than any centre-back they've got. We are better than France, man for man, and we are better than Portugal, man for man, and that is why we will win the Euros. It doesn't matter. If Southgate decided he wanted to quit tomorrow and no one to do the job, and I put my hand up, I'll put my suit on, I can manage us to the Euros. Because we've got the better players. We've got so many good players, and it's so easy to get us playing. Anyway, would you have another country winning the Euros if it means Southgate doesn't get the England job? 100%, Julian. That's easy. I would rather England get battered in the group stage and get sent home early to stop Southgate being the England manager. I saw some quote from Lee Sharp. I don't know whether it's true. Lee Sharp used to play for Man United. I loved him as a player growing up, saying that if Southgate becomes England manager, he'll stop watching United. I get it. I understand it. Like, I would rather England get beat 72-0 by whoever's in our group 3 times to stop Southgate getting the job. You know, I would jump in a swimming pool with, well, I can't get killed. That's stupid. I'm not going to get killed. But what can I jump in a swimming pool with that's going to bite me, but I'll get out and just need a few stitches? I'll do it. You know, a Jack Russell. I'll do it to stop him managing Man United. I'm absolutely sickened and adamant that it can't happen. You know, it's almost comical that people are still talking about it. Anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in. Fantastic show this morning. Don't forget that 7 o'clock tonight, I'm on That's Football. There's no evening show on United Stand because it's 7 o'clock tonight. It's England against Brazil. I'm sure it'll be very Man United themed anyway as we talk about more about Prattgate. But take care, everyone. Manan says that's peak hater behaviour. It's not hate, mate. It's not hate. If I walk into the pub tonight and I order a chicken burger and the waiter says, "You hate burgers. Look at him. He's a burger hater," I'd say, "Do you want a tip? Because here's a tip. Fuck off." It's not hate to say you don't want Gareth Southgate, you prat. Go and write for the bloody Mirror. We should avoid Elise has missed 180 days in 2 years because of a hamstring injury. We don't need injury players, says Spencer. Well, that's not a bad opinion. Okay, for an actual question, do you think INEOS could afford to sack Ten Hag, him to go to another big club and do well at that club, making them look bad, says Danny. Dictatorship ownership can afford to do anything. Just check Mike Ashley. I mean, we need to find out what type of ownership we've got. Have we got an ownership that listens to the fans, or have we got an ownership that does what it thinks is best and ignores? Because let me tell you, United fans, an owner can get away with what they bloody well like. The Glazers have done it for 20 years. Let's not pretend INEOS can't do bad things. Like, they can do whatever they bloody well like. Look at what Mike Ashley did at Newcastle. Look at what the Glazers did. The INEOS could run us like a load of shit and do whatever they want. I don't think they will, but they can. They're not going to go... It depends on how they want to run the club. Are they going to listen to experts, or are they going to also listen to fans? We'll have to find out. Take care, everyone. I'll speak to you in a bit.